snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is Academ's Fury, which is by Jim Butcher and is book number 2 in the Codex Alera series. So I had this on my TBR for May and I have finished it, which I'm really happy about. And let's get into the review. This is non-spoiler, so don't worry if you haven't read the first one, I won't spoil it for you. But this one is just so good that I'm going to review all of them in the series, I think, so I'm excited about this series. So I am so happy that I carried on with this series. I think it's amazing, and I'm very glad that I actually got the chance to read the first book last month and read the second book this month, because carrying on with this series, it's a very, very action-packed and intense read the whole way through, and actually that's just the writing style of the author, Jim Butcher. He's very fast-paced and very action-packed and very here's a point, here's a point, here's a point, action, action, action the whole way through. So it is a lot of like crazy stuff happening throughout the book and all sorts of different things going on at once, which I really enjoy, and I think that that's a really cool way of writing. So carrying straight on with the series is definitely the way to read this, I think, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So in this book we are once again following the same main characters as we were in book number 1, Tabby, who is a young farm boy, and Amara, who is a cursor. And along the way we meet all sorts of different races, different people, and we visit all sorts of different places in this book, much more so than book number 1. So in this book, Tabby is mostly based within the capital, and we get to see a lot more of the politics of the world and the way that the country is run. So the capital's a very dangerous place, a lot of people get into trouble, a lot of disruption and treachery is always happening in the capital, and everyone kind of believes that they are right and nothing else matters, but they are the one in the right, and of course that's not always true. So we have Gaius. Gaius is the First Lord. He is the High Ruler of Alera, which is the country that this is all set in, and he is at the root of all of the capital's destruction, because actually a lot of people believe that he's not a good ruler. They think that he is driving the world into disarray and he's making bad decisions, and many of the rich nobility believe that they are better suited to his place in society. They think that they would be a much better First Lord, and actually many of them are very, very skilled at fury crafting, which is the source of power in this series, and you wouldn't really want them as your foe, so it's definitely to do with him and whether he will be overthrown. Then we have Lord and Lady Aquitine, who we saw a little bit of in book number 1, but we see a lot more of in book number 2. And they play a big part in the politics because they are all trying to get their way up to being High Lord. They want to rule, they think that they are better, and they definitely know how to manipulate other characters. They're very manipulative, very sneaky, and very kind of evil, but in a really interesting way. Fidelius is a character who is definitely in book number 1. He takes more of a backseat role in book number 2. He's not as prominent a character, but it definitely seems like he's building up to something bigger in book number 3, so I'm excited about that. But in this one he kind of shows his nastiness just as much as in book number 2, but actually we do see a little bit of compassion from him at points, which I thought was a really nice addition because we didn't really see that in book number 1. Then we have Max, Erin and Gale, who are 3 of Tabby's friends. They befriend him at the university that he is attending, and kind of together they all remind me of like Harry, Ron and Hermione from the Harry Potter series, because they're just so funny and the dynamic that they all have together is just really entertaining to read about, and I definitely got that vibe again when reading about these 4. So there are 4 of them, not 3, but yeah, it was just a really enjoyable partnership that they all had together and friendship. They're all very good characters, they all have a really interesting backstory to them, and I particularly liked Erin because he was actually kind of a scholarly, nerdy type of character, and that really resonated with me because I thought he was really fun and he was just a very cute, timid character, and I enjoyed his personality a lot. So, whilst we do meet a lot of new characters in the capital, there are other characters in Calderon Valley, which is where the first book is set as well. That is actually Tabby's hometown, and this is where Bernard and Amara are mostly set, so we see most of this from Amara's point of view. We don't really meet that many new characters in the Calderon Valley, we mostly meet them in the capital, but we do meet an entirely new foe who is quite terrible, destructive, awful, and kind of taking over a little bit over the world and definitely needs to be defeated. So that is really the root of the issue that is going to, I assume, take over in the next few books and become the real problem with the world. So I'm really excited about seeing how that develops. So we do have the Marat back in this story. I talked about them in my other review. I really enjoyed them as a race. I thought they were really interesting. They're kind of a tribal people and they're just so funny and witty. Doroga is kind of like the head chief, and he is a really interesting character. He always comes out with these funny witticisms which are just highly entertaining and amusing. He quickly became one of my favourite characters, along with his daughter, who is called Kitai, and they just have such charm that I highly enjoyed their characters, and I would definitely say that they are some of my favourite people in this story and this storyline. Isana is Tavi's aunt, and she gets herself into quite a sticky situation early on in this book. She's a very strong character and she's definitely a mother figure to Tavi, which is really lovely to see, and she really cares for him. All she wants is the best for him, and we really are rooting for her to kind of get what she needs to get to and find the help that she needs, because she does encounter a lot of awful situations and problems in this book, but she does remain strong, and she is very, very skilled at her fury crafting, which is definitely something really cool to see as well. Miles and Killian are also really interesting characters. One is a brilliant fighter and one is a brilliant blind teacher, and that is Killian. Killian is a teacher at the university who teaches Tavi, and that's how he knows Tavi. Tavi works for the High Lord and attends the university, so he knows him through that. And Miles obviously is the chief of the guard, and he is really skilled at fighting, very, very accomplished, and he is a good friend of the High Lord, so that is how Tavi knows him. Together they're both two of the most important characters in the book. They're two of the most high up men in the capital, and they get included on a very dark, deep secret, which kind of is a very, very key event, and they have to decide about what they're going to do about this secret and how they're going to handle this very precarious situation. Finally, we have Serai, who I just had to mention because she's actually a courtesan, but she's a really interesting and wise character. She was full of all sorts of fun, she was just entertaining, and she is a good friend to Amara, and she befriends Sana very early on. She was basically just giving advice that I thought was really interesting and invaluable to the other characters, so I had to include her because I thought she was just so entertaining and fun. The story itself was just so action-packed, just what I expected and hoped for, and even better than book number 1, so I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend this series if you're looking for a very fast-paced, action-packed, interesting and exciting fantasy series, because that is definitely this, and I would definitely recommend this. I ended up giving this book 5 stars, so I did think it was better than the first one, which I was really happy about, and there were just so many plots intertwined, and it was just a roller coaster the whole way through, so I would definitely recommend this to you guys. Please do let me know if you have read the series. As always, please do put spoiler at the top of your comment if you are going to leave spoilers for people who have not read this book yet. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I will see you all very, very soon in my next video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.